Right, hello there everyone, and welcome to today's video, looking at both Christmas 1975 and 1976 and 1984, and we'll also be looking at what they're showing today, showing this year. Thank you for everyone's concern last week, and yeah, after I had my little accident, I'm feeling a lot better, and my side, I thought it was my back, but it was actually my side. I must have hit the curb on my side, so yeah. So yeah, that's that. So thank you very much for everyone's concern. Coming up after this video is the last part of the last Sherlock Holmes story, so that's something else to look forward to. So, on BBC One, during the year that I was born, and can you also believe it, next year, Jaws will be celebrating 50 years. Can you imagine that film? 50 years old. That was still at the cinema when I was actually born, September the 16th. It's such a monster hit. Back then, it was actually the first summer blockbuster, and then after that came Star Wars and Superman, the movie. So yeah, that's quite a feat. 50 years. Right. On BBC One, on Wednesday, the 24th of December, 1975, was Teddy Edward. BBC One started with that at 8:45. Then you had the Mr. Men at 8:50, 9 o'clock the Banana Splits, Before the Ark at 9:35, The Engineer Through the Looking Glass at 10:05 past 10, Away in a Village was at 11:05, 11:40 was Star Trek. That was called Operation Annihilate. I don't remember much about that. I think it was about those little jelly creatures that attack the back, and you actually get to see Captain Kirk's brother. That looks a lot like William Shatner. Also, I hope everyone enjoyed watching the Box of Delights yesterday, because they showed the last 4 parts, and it was good to see that again anyway. Foghorn Leghorn was at 12:30, 12:35 Lauren and Hardy. News was at 12:55. Pebble Mill Christmas Special was at 1 o'clock. The movie Jumbo was on 2:05. That was followed by at 4:05 Bugs Bunny. The Crackerjack Pantomime Special, Robinson Crusoe. At 5:20 National News. London only was Tom and Jerry. Then you had different regions back then. They had the news. Jim Will Fix It was at 5:45. Movie Walt Disney's The Great Locomotive Chase was at 6:30. The Dick Emery Show was at 7:55. Porridge was at 8:25. Christmas with Kojak, A Question of Answers, was at 9:10. News was at 10:45. Then you had Andrew Previn's Christmas Music Night. Midnight Mass of the Nativity was at 11:50. Then BBC closed down at 1 o'clock. Meanwhile, overnight TV, you had The Story of Silent Night at 9:40. On the Threshold of Space was at 10 o'clock. 11:30 was Mr. Stato's Improved Travelling Engine. At 12 o'clock, The Adventures of Rupert Bear. Does everyone remember Rupert Bear? I used to have, when I was young, a lot younger, I used to have the yellow books that had the Rupert Bear yellow books. So yeah, I don't know whatever happened to them. Rainbow was at 12:10. Mr. and Mrs. Christmas Party at 12:30. First Report was at 1 o'clock. This Week was at 1:30. The movie Miracle on 34th Street, that's the black and white one. At 3:50 General Hospital. 6:15 the City Christmas Special Show. The Little Match Girl was at 5:20 sorry. 5:20 was 11:20 to 5:50 Out of Town. 6 o'clock was Hallelujah It's Christmas. Crossroads was at 6:35. This Is Your Life was at 7. Coronation Street was at 7:30. Merry Christmas Fred from the Cosbys was at 8 o'clock. Safari by Balloon was at 9. The ITN News was at 10. Then you had, strange time to put this, The $6 Million Man was at 10:15 in the evening. Not Just Sundays was at 11:10. The Midnight Eucharist at Christmas was at 11:40. Then ITV closed down. Yeah. On Christmas Day in 1975, you had Ragtime on BBC One at 9 o'clock, which started the day. Hark the Herald Angels Sing was at 9:15. The Happy Prince at 10. 10:24 was the weather. Keith Mitchell was at 10:25. Christmas morning service was at 10:30. Rod Hull and Emu was at 11:45. The movie Pack Up Your Troubles was at 12:20. That was a Laurel and Hardy special Christmas movie. Made in 1932. Holiday on Ice was at 1:20. Top of the Pops was at 2:10. The Queen, God bless her, was at 3 o'clock. Billy Smart's Christmas Circus was at 3:05. The movie The Wizard of Oz, the original Wizard of Oz, was at, not the original, because it's no, it's not the original. It's the black and white that turns into colour with what's her name? She played Dorothy. Judy Garland. That's it. That was on at 4:05. Then you had the national news at 5:45. Bruce Forsyth, The Generation Game. At 6:55, Some Others Do Heaven. The Morecambe and Wise Christmas Show was at 7:40. 7:45 was the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. The Good Old Days was at 10:30. The news was at 11:20. Then you had Parkinson Meets Bob Hope at 11:30. That was 1975. On ITV that year, 1975, they had Rainbow started the day off at 9. A Heavenly Place was at 9:15. Christmas morning service was at 10. A Merry Morning was at 11. Rainbow again at 11:40. 11:55 was Harold Lloyd's World of Comedy. Jack Parnell and the Bud Band Show was at 1:15. Chipperfield's Christmas Circus was at 2 o'clock. That was followed by 3 at the Queen. Movie Doctor in Trouble was at 3:05. Captain Noah and the Floating Zoo was at 4:45. That was followed by the news at 5:10. Bay City Rollers was at 5:20. Christmas Celebrity Squares was at 6:20. 7 o'clock, was Crossroads. 7:30 was Get Some In. 8 o'clock that evening was Love Thy Neighbour. The movie Taming of the Shrew was at 8:30. Then you had a break, you had the news. The movie continued at 10:15. 11 o'clock was Beneath the Christmas Tree. The Gabriel Assignment was at 11:50. Then ITV closed down at midnight. In 1976, Christmas Eve was on a Friday. And the day started off on BBC One with Teddy Edward at 9:20, Ring-a-Ding at 9:25, The Great Ape Show was at 9:35, Country Search at 9:55, The Zoo at 10:20, Bugs Bunny at 11:10. You had the old black and white serials Flash Gordon. Then you had the old movie with Johnny Weissmuller as Tarzan. The film was titled Tarzan and the Leopard Woman. Midday News was at 12:45. Pebble Mill Christmas Special was at 1. 2 o'clock was Hans Christian Andersen. 20 to 4 was Barber the Elephant, if anyone remembers Barber. Barber Comes to America. At 4:10 was the All-Star Record Breakers. That was followed by 5 o'clock by the news. Then again, regional news for regional areas. Then London and South East was Tom and Jerry. Jim Will Fix It was at 5:15. $1 Million Walt Disney movie was The $1 Million Duck was at 6. At 7:30, Are You Being Served? Porridge was at 8. Kojak was at 20 to 9. Mastermind was at 10:15. You had the late news at 10 to 11. And Andre Previn's Christmas Music Night was at 11 o'clock. Then at 5 to midnight, you had the Midnight Mass Communion. And then the BBC One closed down at 1 o'clock. Then, over on ITV on Christmas Eve 1976, you had 9:30, A Diary of Civilizations. That was followed by Animated Classic at 10:20 with A Christmas Carol. A Cowboy in Africa was at 11:10. A Handful of Songs was at midday. Pipkins was at 12. Frosty the Snowman was at 12:30. News at 1 was at 1. 1:20 was Today's Post. Crown Court was at 1:30. Money Go Round Good Afternoon was at 2 o'clock. The Friday matinee movie was Stowaway to the Moon, starring Lloyd Bridges. 4:15 was The Siege of Golden Hill. 4:45 was Magpie. 12:15 was, no, not 12:15, 5:15, sorry, was University Challenge. ITN News at 5:45. 6 o'clock was Double Helping. 6:35 Crossroads. Holiday Sweepstakes game was at 7 o'clock. Within These Walls was at 7:30. Terror on the 40th Floor was at 8:30. News was at 10:15. Bing Crosby's White Christmas was at 10:30. Then at 11:30 you had the Midnight Mass from Twickenham. Then that closed at 24. ITV closed at, I think it was, doesn't really say. Sorry, it didn't really say, but I presume ITV closed after that at around about 20 to midnight or something. Or, no, 20 to 1, sorry. 20 to 1, sorry, my apologies. On Christmas Day in 1976, which fell on a Saturday, BBC One was Ragtime, started the day off at 8:20 to 9. Sing Noel was at 8:55. Hong Kong Phooey was at 9:45. The weather was at 9 minutes past 10. Angela Rippon made a Christmas appeal at 10:10. 10:15 was Christmas morning service. Rod Hull and Emu was at 11:15. Four Crowns, a movie, was at 11:45. 1:20 Holiday Ice. Top of the Pops at 2:10. The Queen at 3. Billy Smart's Christmas Circus was at 3:15. 4:15 was the movie Oliver. 6:35 Evening News. 6:35 Evening News. 6:45 Bruce Forsyth and the Generation Game. That was followed at 7:45 by the Morecambe and Wise Show. The movie Airport, which was made in 1970, was at 9:15. 5 to 11 was the news. The Parkinson Magic Show was at 11 o'clock, and then that rounded off. Then that finished at midnight, and then that rounded off Christmas Day on BBC One. On ITV, you had Carols. ITV's day started off at 8:45 with Carols from Durham. The Legend of the Christmas Messenger was at 9:30. Christmas morning service at 10. A Merry Morning was at 11. Dr. Dolittle, the movie from 1967 with Rex Harrison, was at 11:30. Christmas Supersonic was at 2:15. The Queen was at 3. Please Sir, that was the movie with John Aldridge. That was at 3:10. New Faces at 5. The News at 6. Christmas Sale of the Century was at 6:10. The John Curry Ice Spectacular was at 6:45. The movie about Napoleon, Waterloo, was at 8, starring Rod Steiger. That was in 1970. At 10:25 was the news. Two's Company was at 10:35. Then at 11:05 was Celebration. Then I think at midnight ITV closed down at... Yeah, ITV closed at midnight. So that was 1975 and 1976. 40 years ago. Christmas morning, or Christmas Eve morning, started with 6:30 a.m. breakfast time. 9 a.m. was the Buskers Christmas Story. Paddington was at 9:15. Lassie was at 9:20. 9:45 Charlie Brown. 10:10 Jack and Ori Cinderella. At 10:25 The Magic Roundabout. 10:30 was Play School. It's Christmas Eve. 10:50 was Henry's Cat. Who remembers Henry's Cat? I remember going to the Woolwich to get one of those books and then putting some money into my account, opening that account for the Henry's Cat book, and then we put some more money in. We got the other Henry's Cat book. I wonder if anyone remembers those books from the Woolwich. And then you used to get the magazine. It was only a few pages, but it was quite interesting to see what people were doing to their savings and everything, and catching up with everyone's business. 10:55 a.m. was the Chucklehounds Christmas special. At 11:05 was the Sounders of 84. 12:05 was Wait Till Your Father Gets Home. 12:30 was the news. Junior Kickstart was at 12:35. Kung Fu was at 1 o'clock. The Christmas Raccoons was at 1:50. The Cruel Sea was at 2:15. Pop Quiz Christmas Special was at 4:15. 4:45 was Jackanory. 5 o'clock was Blue Peter. The Box of Delights, the last part, was at 5:25. 6 o'clock was the news. Jim Will Fix It for Christmas was at 6:15. One of Our Dinosaurs Is Missing was the Walt Disney movie at 6:55. Only Fools and Horses was at 8:25. Cagney and Lacey at 8:55. The news was at 9:45. Val Dunican's Christmas special was at 10 o'clock. 10:50 was a play called Angels in the Avenue. You had the Midnight Mass at 1:45. Then at 1:45 in the morning you had the weather. Then that was followed by the close down at 10:1. Meanwhile, over on ITV on Christmas Eve in 1984, you had Good Morning Britain, TVAM at 6:25. Thames News Headlines was at 9:25. 10:15 was Cartoon Time. The film Benji was at 10:30. Free Time Christmas Special was at midday. Goodwill to All Men was half past 12 in the afternoon. The news was at 1. Thames News was at 1:20. The Birth of Christ was at 1:30. Scarecrow and Mrs. King was at 1:45. Takeover was at 2:50. At 3:10 was the film The Return of the Pink Panther. The Wind of the Willows was at 5:15. News at 5:45 was at 5:45. Thames News was at 6. Help was at 6:25. Crossroads at 6:35. What's My Line Christmas Special. 9:30 Christmas Coronation Street. Jim Davison's Falkland Special was at 8. A film Fun with Dick and Jane was at 9 o'clock. 20 to 11 was the ITV News. 10 to 11 was The Joy to the World. The Blessing of the Crib and the First Mass of Christmas was at 20 to midnight. Then 20 to 1, ITV closed down. I know I've done 1984 before, and in one of my other videos, in the early videos, but I thought it would be good to look back again at what we were watching 40 years ago, as you'll see, because there's absolutely nothing on the telly to watch this year. BBC One Christmas Day was 1984. Well, it all really depends on your tastes, really. I mean, what we watched 40, 50 years ago back then was probably not that exciting, or was exciting, and compared to what we watched this year. But we'll have a look at that in a minute. On BBC One on Christmas Day, the day started off with 8 a.m. Pages from CFAX, 8:45 Play School, it's Christmas Day, 9 a.m. Buskin's Christmas Story was 9 a.m. Born in Bethlehem was at 9:15. Christmas Morning Family at 10:05. Weather was at 11:03. Noel Edmonds' live Christmas special breakfast show was at 11:05. 12:35 was the film Blue Murder at St Trinian's at 12:35. 2 o'clock was Top of the Pops. 3 o'clock was The Queen. That was closely followed at 3:10 by Mary Poppins. 5:25 was news. 5:30 was Christmas Blankety Blank. 6:05 was Heidi High. The Paul Daniels Magic Christmas Show was at 6:35. Just Good Friends Special was at 7:25. The Two Ronnies was at 5 to 9. News at 5 to 10. Wogan at 10:05. A film all time great movies, Some Like It Hot, was at 5 to 11. Then at 10 to midnight, 10 to 1 in the morning was the weather. Then that was That was followed closely by at 5 to 1 close down. So that was BBC One 40 years ago. At 6:25 on Christmas Day, 40 years ago, was TVAM Good Morning Christmas Party. 9:25 was Danger Mouse Double Bill. Thomas the Tank Engine at 9:45. Emu at Christmas with Red Rod Hull. 10:35 a.m. was the Christmas morning service. Bugs Bunny Looney Movie was at 11:45. 1:15 was Pop Videos of 1984. Jane Toyville and Christopher Dean's Christmas special was at 2 o'clock. That was followed by The Queen at 3. Then that was followed at 3:10 by The Man with the Golden Gun, James Bond. ITN News was at 5:25. Give Us a Clues at 5:30. 6 o'clock to 8:30 was Bring Me Sunshine, a tribute to Eric Moulton, OBE. The film Raiders of the Lost Ark was at 8:30. At 10:40 was ITN News. Des O'Connor Tonight was at 11:15. The Christmas night thriller Home for the Holidays was at 11:35. Then Peace at 10 to midnight. Then 1 o'clock ITV closed down. So you can sort of see the differences there. This year I've got my TV mag. So yes. Here we go. Sorry. On Christmas Eve this year, we have 6 a.m. breakfast. At 9 o'clock, CBeebies Christmas Panto at Beauty and the Beast was at 9. 10 o'clock Chicken Run. 11:20 Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway. At 12:50 is the news and weather and national. That's the national news. Then you had regional news and weather. 1:20 was Shaun the Sheep, The Flight Before Christmas. 1:50 Stickman. Mona at 2:20. 3:55 Shrek. 5:20 news. 5:40 news, regional news and weather. 5:50 was Ghostbusters Afterlife. I love Ghostbusters. It was good to see the new Ghostbusters in the old Ghostbusters in this new one. And can you believe Ghostbusters is 40 years old now? God, bloody hell. Where's all this time going? 7:45 EastEnders. The repair shop at Christmas was 8:15. 9:15 was Strike. 10:15 news and weather. Gavin and Stacey at 10:35. Midnight Mass from St Mary's Church, Warwick at 20 to midnight. 12:55 The Weakest Link. And then that's all followed by the BBC News channel for the rest of the night. Over on ITV, you had Good Morning Britain at 6 a.m. Lorraine at 9. 10 o'clock This Morning. 12 o'clock News Women. 1:05 news. 1:50 In for a Penny Christmas Crackers. 2 o'clock Shrek the Halls. It's a Wonderful Life at 2:30. You Bet at 5:05. 6:20 The News and Weather. 6:40 ITV Evening News. 7 o'clock Emmerdale. 7:30 Royal Carols Together at Christmas. Coronation Street is 8:45. Then at 9:15 TikTok Top 100 2024. 11:10 is the news and regional news. 11:30 is Christmas Carols on ITV. 12:30 is Martin Lewis to win at board games. 1:20 Pictionary. 1:45 Inside M&S. This is in the morning. Behind M&S at Christmas. Then at 2:35 it's Christmas is Unwind with ITV. At 3:50 to 6 o'clock it's a repeat of It's a Wonderful Life. On Christmas Day, on BBC One this year, breakfast at 6 on BBC One. 9 Trolls Holiday in Harmony. Superworm at 9:20. The Guffalo's Child at 9:50. A Christmas morning service from Halifax Minister. Christmas morning service from Halifax Minister. 10:15. 11:20 was Toy Story 3. Minions: The Rise of Gru at 12:55. News at 2:15, Tiddler at 2:35, The King at 3, 3, The Weakest Link, Strictly Come Dancing Christmas Special was at 3:55, Doctor Who is at 5, Wallace and Gromit Vengeance May Foul at 6, 7:30 Call the Midwife, Gavin and Stacey the finale at 9, 10:35 EastEnders, Mrs Brown Boys was at 11, at 25 to midnight you had the news, midnight the film Marry Me, and then that is closely followed by the BBC News channel at 1:50 till 6 in the morning. Over on ITV, Royal Carols Together at Christmas at 6, Good Morning Britain at 7, Lorraine at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock this morning, 12 o'clock James Martin's Christmas Day, Ainsley's Festive Flavours at 2 o'clock, The King at 3, Home Alone 2 is at 3, Bullseye, the Freddie Flintoff revival show, is at 5:25, 6:20 ITV evening news and weather, 6:30 Emmerdale, 7 Coronation Street, 8 The Chase Christmas Celebrity Special, 9 o'clock Downton Abbey A New Era at 9, 11:20 was the news, 11:40 The King, 11:50 is the repeat of the Royal Variety Performance at 2 in the morning, Dame Maggie Smith's Celebration, and that's just about all the rubbish. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Christmas 1975 and 1976, and Christmas Eve and Christmas Day 1984, and this year's Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I have to say, they are showing Raiders of the Lost Ark on Christmas Day at 8:20 or 8:30, about the same time I think, on Channel 4. To be honest, I'm not as enthusiastic as I am for this year's Christmas. Thankfully I've got a load of films to watch, so yeah, no, I'm not really that ecstatic about this year's Christmas, although I will be watching Doctor Who. The next video will be the last Sherlock Holmes story, the last part. I'll be doing 77, 78, 79 at some point during the week, because I'm on holiday from Friday, so I want to get this video over and done with. Don't forget to check out my TikTok live on 11 o'clock Christmas Day morning, just an 80s movie trivia quiz, so it gives people a chance to take their minds off things, let the turkey cook, or whatever you're doing. But whatever you're doing Christmas Day, I hope you have a great time, and I shall see you at some point this week for Christmas Day, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day 77, 78 and 79. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry I took so long. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye for now.